The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 12th day of June, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Mia Chambray, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in his news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Mia, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's so good to be here on this kind of gloomy Wednesday. But thank you for having me, and everybody, thank you for the warm welcomes. I had people come into the shop and say, like, we're so looking forward to you co-hosting and how much they love the show. And it's just been a really warm welcome by the community. So thank you so much, everybody, for all of those well wishes and sweet words of kindness to me.
Yeah, thanks for not backing out after appearing on the show. You know, I mean, I think, I was scared. I was like, okay, she was a guest on the show last week. Maybe she'll have second thought and not come.
Oh, no, it was fantastic. I love everything that you and the team do. So I'm so thrilled to be part of it. I'm really, it's a circle of trust. I'm very excited to be part of it.
I'm excited that people are going to I mean, we have conversations. I know you and Sancha, and, you've seen the way the TDH chat group is. Some things we will not discuss on it, but for the first part, we have some good convo and debate, and I'm looking forward to you adding to the dialogue. It's incredible to have such different perspectives. Last week it was funny. I think you saw it where, we disagree, folks.
Definitely.
Well, on point 3, I actually have a different opinion, and I think having mature dialogue like that is the purpose of what we do every morning. So I'm glad that you have had the courage to offer up your insight and perspectives on this platform. And this is good.
I think it's really exciting, Jamal, and I'm so thrilled to be part of it. And as you know, I'm a passionate Bermudian. I absolutely adore Bermuda, and my family's been here for both sides, many generations, and I just love being part of the Daily Hour chat and talking and having, as you said, different perspectives. But one thing we all have in common is that we truly are passionate and we love Bermuda and we want the best for Bermuda.
Indeed. Well, Suzanne Ingham, she says, awesome Wednesday, Jamal, Mia, and it's Teo today, not Maya. And,
hey, Suzanne.
Mark Phillips says, welcome, Mia. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Peter Dunne. Peter Dunne's coming on. We're talking about the Bermuda Olympic Association to discuss the upcoming Paris 2024 games. And I'm excited. I tell you why. I don't know if people been living under a rock, Mia, but in the last Olympics, a certain dame won us our first gold medal. We should be excited about this year's Olympics. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, me too. I'm actually going to be in Paris around that time. So
have it like that.
Oh, well, so Paris, I haven't been back to Paris.
Paris sounds romantic, though.
It is very romantic, but we're going with our 5-year-old, so the romance will be limited.
Point taken.
Romance will definitely be limited, but I think it's so exciting, and I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, Jamal, but what I read was it's the most Olympians that Bermuda has ever had either up, to be able to qualify for the Olympics. Ever. Including obviously Flora Duffy. So we've got her. She's just like such an incredible, lovely person, such a lovely family, so humble. But then we have quite a slew of both Olympians and Paralympians who, I mean, I think it's the most ever from Bermuda that we've had as pre-qualifiers or soon to be qualified.
I think Mr. Dunne can confirm whether that is true when he comes on. Definitely looking forward to the convo. But folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Well, let's jump into today's conversation. We've got a question for you all. We've got a question for you all. And the question of the morning is, how can we attract more quality candidates into politics? How can we attract more quality candidates into politics? And before you answer that, here's a question. Name one person who would be eligible to run in Bermuda that you'd like to see in politics. Like someone who's never been in politics, that you would like, just one person that you say, you know what? This person would make a good politician. I would like to see them possibly run based on the work they've done in Bermuda and for the community. So name one person eligible to run in Bermuda that you'd like to see in politics. That's a fair question, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking myself who I would like to see in politics. And the first person that jumped to my mind was David Lopes.
Gotta love Lopesy, honestly, man.
Yeah, or, you know, I actually also loved the West End Warriors. So any of the women or gentlemen who were involved in that, I thought their vision was incredible. I thought their tenacity was fabulous. And I think that, you know, seniors in the community really have so much history and so much wealth of knowledge. And let's be honest, many of them are retired, so they have the time and the ability to really focus and really, really passionately be involved in the community and make changes. And they have all these like incredible careers, you know, like accountants, lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, or, you know, people who have just been really invested in their community and they're super passionate about it and they have so much legacy behind them. So I would love to see, you know, a bunch of kind of silver-haired pioneers. We just run in and start taking over. They were amazing. They blew my mind with that campaign, the West End Warriors, I have to say.
You've gone the older route, the more mature. Okay.
A mix. I think a mix is good, but just off the top of my head, it's just people who I find very, very inspiring and who have, you know, a lot of depth of historical knowledge about Bermuda, and then will be able to impart that to the younger generations or the younger people who are maybe more inclined to be involved in politics or inspire them. Yeah, like John Swan, for example. I found that so inspiring that he came out, you know, after years of, you know, just being part of it, but he threw his hat back in the ring to try to inspire younger people.
And I think on that note, I think, you know, in the Royal Gazette today, Sir John, there is something from him. And you know, he's basically saying in this article, you can check it out on royalgazette.com. He wrote an opinion piece published today. This forum will create a new dialogue for Bermuda and interested people discussing how the change that we agree is needed can be delivered. So his hope, you know, is that what he did, though he didn't win, I don't necessarily think that was the overall point, but it was to really generate interest from a new generation of Bermudians who, you know, look, let's get involved. We can't sit on the sidelines. But audience, let us know, how can we attract more quality candidates into politics? And again, name one person eligible to run in Bermuda that you'd like to see in politics. Who is one person? Come on, you all have got one. Who's one person who's never been into politics that you would be like, you know what, that person would make a great politician? I'm sorry, Nicole Hassel, but Jamel's probably not one of them. They wouldn't vote for me. And Mia, you asked me this.
I did, yes.
I tell you what, I'm not electable, and I tell you why I'm not electable. I don't say things to make people feel good. I don't believe in trying to make people feel good. I believe in trying to do what's in their best interest. And what's in people's best interest may not make them feel good at the time. And so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I'll do something, and then when I get in power, not do it. Like, that's just not, I cannot politic like that. And that's how politics traditionally has worked, is you've got to make people feel good to get their votes.
Yes.
You get, you act completely different, you know?
But I think that that needs to kind of change, really. I think there needs to be way more transparency. I think that's kind of why there's a real sense of undercurrent, or maybe more of a current of real disappointment within the Bermudian community, because there has really been such a lack of transparency, honesty, a real vision for the island. Now, I mean, in the 80s and 90s, there was a huge boom, and we all saw, huge economic growth. That was fantastic for Bermuda. But where are the kind of taking those lessons and then creating new opportunities, new growth that benefit everybody, not just not creating the society that's haves and haves nots, which I believe is starting to sort of occur or is occurring. Where can we actually learn the lessons of the past, which is why I was kind of leaning into, more of the senior members of the community and actually putting a modern day spin on them for socioeconomic, environmental, educational, sustainability, and growth, because Bermuda is wonderful. Bermudians are so smart. We have so many resources at our fingertips. We're global. We travel. Where can we kind of place the lens of that big economic boom and all of the great work that was done then, and put it in a modern day lens with some kind of.
You believe that the older folks will have a better opportunity to get us into a space that levels that?
I do. And some I believe. Yes. Some who have the right intentions, are transparent, are not afraid to speak out, really want what's best for Bermuda, what's right for Bermuda. I guess everyone has different opinions, of course, about what's best and what's right for Bermuda, but really do have Bermuda at the heart of everything they're doing. They're not, as you said, coming and telling you some fairy tale, and then once they get, into a place of making, actual change, you're like, oh, forget that. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I just think that's so disheartening. And it's so not the core of who Bermudians are. It's just not.
I think, and that's why, again, for me, that's on the voter, though. That's not on the person. So for me, I'm saying I don't think I would be elected because I'm not that person. But the voter is the one that's going to make that decision. So that really takes a cultural mindset change and shift. And then, audience, how can we attract more quality candidates into politics? And also name one person eligible to run in Bermuda that you'd like to see in politics. Nicole Hassel says Charles Jeffers II, Desmond Crockle, Dijon Simmons, and Dr. Creaker Weldon. And then Charles H. Jeffers II, he also says Dr. Lou Matthews. Suzanne Ingham says Omar Dilray, Kai Emery, Maya Sancha Sherry.
Amen. All right, Suzanne, agree.
They do it, but they can let us know. And then Charles H. Jeffers II, he says Roger Denbrook.
I think he would be amazing. He would be amazing.
Yeah. I think to get into politics, it takes a certain kind of character, right? But the truth is, we're not looking for that traditional person. We're not looking for what Mia just explained, the person who's gonna, give you flowery BS and make you believe that they're gonna do this, that, and the other, and they're not. We're looking for someone who's gonna be, honest and has a plan and a strategy to take us to a place even better than where we were at in the 80s and 90s, as far as economically and academically, as far as socially, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think, sorry, go ahead. But I think what's interesting is also what a lot of these people that everyone has just kind of put forward their names. These people have pizzazz. They have pop and sizzle. They have amazing accolades under their belt. I mean, the work that Karika's doing. I mean, she was just on the global stage for her genetic work. You guys, Teo, Maya, you, Rajay, people know who you are in the community. People understand what you're about. People hear from you. You're in social media. You have your voice heard. But half of these politicians who are representing Bermuda, I never hear from them. Unless you have to go on the Royal Gazette. But everybody, my age, I'm in my 40s, so you guys know, not many of them are not actively on the Royal Gazette. I mean, I'm very involved and very, I want to hear about what's going on in the community, et cetera. So me personally, but, I don't hear, back in the day, you had Ottawell Simmons, John Swan, Ann Cartwright Dakuta, Dame Lois Brown Evans. You had all these people who were, part of, the cartoons and, Bruce Barron and those guys were, they were doing all that political satire, which we have now with Mr. Photogenic, etc. But like, where are the characters? Like, I don't even think I half of these half of the politicians, I wouldn't know them if they
It's
walked
more
down the road.
sensitive today, though. I think back then, politicians weren't as sensitive. I remember when Teo had his morning show, and he couldn't call out an education minister at the time because they would all get it so sensitive. I'm like, do you not watch late night? I mean, Jimmy Kimmel and Jay Leno, that's what they do for a living. But for me, it was fair game. Once you got into politics, there's an expectation. Audience, what are your thoughts, though? How can we attract more quality candidates? How can we attract more quality candidates? What are some things? Like, for me, I've always been told that, I asked a doctor earlier this year. I was like, why aren't there more qualified like doctors that get into politics? You had many doctors back in the day, right?
Yes,
And
it's lawyers, entrepreneurs.
one of the doctors said to me, look, I have paying clients that I have to tend to. It doesn't pay enough for the stress that comes with it. I was like, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting indeed. And from things that I've read and in the Bermudian news, actually, lots of businesses don't want their employees to get involved with politics, A, because it's a huge time commitment, B, because obviously you're very much in the spotlight, and then C, they want to kind of stay politically neutral, which I find understandable. I get that. But then on the flip side, then you're operating a business or a practice or where actually the country that you're working within is actually not doing very well. So then how are you flourishing? If you got to plant the seeds to be able to flourish. So, and I understand that you've got your own practice and you've got, paying clients. And I really, really understand that. But at the end of the day, if the population doesn't grow, we don't have this vision, our economy is doing terribly, violence is up, education is down, how many clients are we going to have? How many businesses are going to move to Bermuda?
I think what you're pretty much saying is if we don't allow our brightest and best in these private businesses to get politically involved and perform activism in the name of community and country, then we're not going to have a place to do business, right?
Exactly. It's true. And what I loved about John Swan's most recent campaign is going out as an independent is I think that was so visionary. I think it was, going against the grain. I think that a lot of people could take up the mantle and do that, but people don't know where to start. Like, how do I become a politician? Like, how do I get, like, and then thus that's how the party system remains, which is understandable because there's so many nuances to becoming a politician and being in the House, et cetera, et cetera. You do need support. So kind of hard as just like an independent, like, mom of one, just like going around and knocking on a door. It's like, hi, like, how are you? Will you vote for me? So I think there's, I'm really excited that John Swan just put together that article because maybe he will set up kind of a platform to inspire and really assist independents to be able to go forward and really represent their parish or their constituency, as opposed to having to be embroiled in this kind of party politics.
Yeah, I think independence will shake a lot up, and I'm looking to see if there's going to be more courageous people who do that. Audience, again, how can we attract any ideas? Like any ideas, audience? Like we spoke about, Mia just said, businesses being, freeing up on their employees, letting them get them politically involved. Is it a thing of we raise the pay of the politicians to attract Bermuda's best? Like what do you think we need to do? Like give us some tips on what we can do to attract Bermuda's best. Suzanne Ingham says, I know a guy who was working and stated he was running in politics and they fired him. That was a very fine line and dirty move from the business the guy worked. That's crazy.
That is crazy and illegal, I think. But then also, at the end of the day, in politics, you're a civil servant. I mean, you are a servant to the people of Bermuda. So it shouldn't be frowned upon to want to serve your community. That is really at the heart of it, what being a politician is, or being a civil servant. You are out there to represent your community. So it actually should be really, really in my opinion, in the past, it was something that was a huge accolade to be a politician. it was you were able to embolden change. You were able to be a visionary. You were able to really represent the community, really listen, and really make active, important change within the community. I don't know if it's so much that now.
Well,
Like, I don't know.
Ray makes a great point. He said one of the things is constitutional. Civil servants cannot be in political parties. That includes teachers. If that is changed, it creates a wider pool of potential candidates. Look, if the government is if the country's biggest employer, that's actually a valid point. You've taken a great percentage of people out of the pool.
That's a great point. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
did not know. I guess it makes sense.
I could be wrong, but Levita Fogo, I think, was one of the people who resigned. I think Dale Butler, educator, had to leave, get out. So, yeah. Ian Waddington says it would be nice to see more young people taking degrees in political science and becoming professional politicians. Eric Hendrickson actually said other educational paths for career in politics. We've got to bring Teo Dillon for the Daily Hour news break. Let me just let's bring Teo Dillon for the Daily Hour news break. And this is a good conversation, and it could definitely be continued online. So hopefully Maya takes it online after the show. But let's bring Teo and see if he's got anything to add as a former senator, actually.
Morning, family. Good to see you, Mia. What's up, Jay? Hello, audience. This is a marvelous conversation. I am deeply grateful that you have participated in it. And this is a little bit inside baseball. Check the TDH WhatsApp group. I just sent the group's newest listener to the show. And the expression on her face. Oh, I'm just saying, it's my 8-month-old baby.
Oh, okay.
I let her listen to the show on the headphones for a bit. She was bugging, like, what they talking about, y'all?
You getting involved in politics that early?
We're talking about your future, girl.
Political awareness is essential, and that kind of is my answer to the question. And this is something that I don't think we remember as much as we should as a community. We are incredibly democratically immature. We've only had like genuine national access, universal franchise for like 2 generations. You know what I'm saying? We've only had political parties in an active sense since the 60s. Like we're not great at this yet. And I mean, this might sound like I'm just making excuses for the poor outcomes, but I mean, really, we just haven't had a lot of practice at being good, fully engaged democratic participants, democratic citizens. So it's just going to take more time for us to get better at this and to deliver better representatives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like that. Okay. So as far as the news is concerned, we've got 2 big appointments that were confirmed yesterday in 2 of the most nationally relevant spaces in the island. Politics, like we're talking about today, in the lead up to a very fast approaching general election, and education, specifically at Bermuda's only community college. Now, John Seymour, one of Bermuda's most accomplished professional musicians, who is currently working on his undergrad at the world-renowned Berklee College of Music, has been chosen by the OBA as their candidate for Pembroke East Central Constituency 16. Now, Mr. Seymour will be competing against National Security Minister Michael Weeks for the seat, and based on the available data, he's going to have an uphill climb to fight for the spot, since Mr. Weeks held the seat unopposed in 2020, and the last time he faced the vote, Mr. Weeks won Pembroke East Central with nearly 94% of the vote, and this follows the pattern set for more than 20 years in this constituency, as the PLP has won the seat in every election since 2003. So, but what I think is important to emphasize is he knew that going in, right? So just on the strength of him deciding to participate under those conditions, I think it's worth just a little bit of love. Like, he's participating in democracy when he knows it's not terribly likely he's going to win.
I'll just say this much. As a former voter in that constituency before I was unceremoniously removed from the voter registry in Bermuda, good luck to the brother. And I say that genuinely. No one has been able to come close to putting a dent. And when I say a dent, that's a 85% and higher PLP hold. I'd be interested if he's out there canvassing to see how he relates to the voters in that constituency. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's actually such an interesting appointment. And I was saying to you guys before that anybody that came dressed so suavely and singing to me on my doorstep, they would get my vote.
Honestly, I understand because John, I know him a little bit, and I don't know if Jay, you remember, he was one of the first participants in Bermuda Idol back in the day. I think him and his brother. He's an incredibly charming person.
Well,
Like,
I know you got to move on with the news break, but he is. He says, "I wasn't chosen by the Bermuda Alliance. Just want to set that straight. I chose C16." So,
Okay.
right.
Go,
Thank
John.
you for the clarity, John. Appreciate you. Now, the other big appointment yesterday was the new president of the Bermuda College, contingent on approval from the Immigration Department, being confirmed as Dr. David Sam, who should start working in the post as of August 5th, just a couple weeks before the fall 2024 semester begins. Now, Dr. Sam will be the seventh president in BC's half century of history, and the college's Board of Governors Chair Nasir Wade celebrated the successful completion of a 6-month-long search for a new leader for the institution, saying Dr. Sam is, quote, a thought leader, and the board has utmost confidence in his ability to leverage the well-known legacy of the college to achieve even greater prominence in the community through innovation and partnerships for the next 50 years and beyond. Now, I did a little digging to learn a bit more about Dr. Sam, and his most recent post was president of Elgin Community College in Illinois. And based on this excerpt from an interview he did there, he should be well prepped to help grow Bermuda College's allied health division.
We've had some growth in the last few years. That growth has not included the health areas. Over 60% of all healthcare professionals in the country are trained at community colleges. We want to be sure that we respond effectively to this community by training the healthcare professionals.
I say this with love because the first place I go to when appointments are made, you don't have a real job if you've never worked, if you don't have a LinkedIn page that you keep up to date. I don't make the rules. That's just the rule in the Western Hemisphere. But I went to his LinkedIn page, and
Oh no!
hear me when I say what I'm about to say, and take no offense. Actually, you're going to be offended by something I say anyway. But I feel for this gentleman for one reason. The last time an African man was appointed to a position of influence in Bermuda, even Tully Buds had the audacity to try to tear him down. So I wish him luck. And I wish Bermuda and its students the very best.
Jay, that is, I'm a little bit mad at you, but not completely, because you're talking about Dr. Ayo, the former chief medical officer of Bermuda, and the static that he got, seemingly to me, based on his accent.
Correct.
Like, which is gross, right?
Yeah.
Like, the thing that bothers me more than almost anything else about that particular perspective coming from our community, Bermudians have one of the most singular, unique accents on the planet.
Correct.
And we expect people from all over the world to understand us without any difficulty. But somebody sounds like just a regular old Nigerian or regular old Ghanaian or regular old Ugandan, and we act like we can't work just a little harder to understand them. I don't understand that.
It's sickening. And I hope that this man, like any person who's come in here that can add value, is given the grace that he deserves. As a community, we have a sickness towards non-Bermudians when they come into, and let's be honest, he doesn't have to come here.
He's got options.
Let's be clear about this. I say this with love. Bermuda is not the gem that Mia was talking about in the 80s and 90s, where everyone wants to run here, folks. We're trying to get back there.
Yes.
We're trying to get back there. So I just hope that this gentleman is given the grace that he deserves. And thank you for sharing that clip, because again, I went on my LinkedIn. I was like, okay, cool. I'm impressed.
Yeah. No, his resume is serious.
Yeah. By the way, Jamal, you don't have LinkedIn.
We're working on you.
But In other news, the national focus on leaning into the digital assets space has reaped what looks like some new meaningful rewards, with the Bermuda Monetary Authority signing an official MOU with Abu Dhabi's financial regulators on digital asset regulation. Now, the point of this joint digital assets MOU is to build a framework to collaborate on building cross-jurisdictional digital asset entities that are appropriately supervised, investigated, and supported. The chief exec of the BMA, Craig Swan, shared that the agreement reflects a mutual commitment to driving responsible innovation for the digital asset landscape that leverages Bermuda's market experience and stability to protect and enhance further growth. Now, to help get you a better sense of why this matters, I sourced a short explainer that lays out what digital assets are and why they need to be responsibly managed.
Digital assets encompass a broad range of intangible assets that exist in electronic form. These assets can represent ownership, value, or rights, and are stored and transferred using blockchain technology or distributed ledger systems. Examples of digital assets include cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins. Digital tokens, representing ownership in a specific asset or project. Digital representations of physical assets, and more.
I don't understand none of that.
I was worried, like it's okay. What I could make a commitment to in front of you, Jay, and you, Mia, is that before the end of summer, this audience will understand the digital asset space, because Bermuda is leaning into it more and more every week, every month, every year. And in 5 years, if everything goes as planned, I think we're going to be one of the major players in that space on a global level. So it's essential that we do what we can to help our folks understand it. So yeah, I got to do a better job at explaining this stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll take up a class if they offer it at the new Bermuda College.
There you go. Now, Jay, you're going to like this one. I think Mia too. Bermuda's tourism experience just got some free props from a leading Northeastern radio station. Producer Dan McGuire from WPDH's 101.5's award-winning radio show just published a long-form blog about his recent cruise to the island. You can find it on WPDH.com. Turns out this trip was super significant to him because it involved 23 of his family members from across the entire U.S., the first time they've traveled together as a group. And luckily, they loved their time on the island enough to do a whole blog about it. It contains a bunch of pictures, which you can see some here he took while he was on island. He bigged up two local attractions in particular, specifically Crystal Caves and the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo. He said the aquarium experience was, quote, vastly different compared to a zoo here in the States, highlighting the opportunity to walk right through the animal enclosure and say goodbye to a giant tortoise that was making eye contact with him for some reason. But it was really clear in reading the blog that he loved his time on the island. It wasn't a sponsored thing. He wasn't paid any money. He just loved this place and he wanted to tell his audience and the world about it. So shout out to everybody involved with making his family's trip such a memorable experience. It's a big deal.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate it. We can take all the good vibes and attention and love we can get right now without paying extra. What you got in the weather for us, Tay?
Well, today's weather should deliver enough periodic rain to make keeping your umbrella handy necessary. The Bermuda Weather Service explains this is all due to the Bermuda Azore high's dominance being interrupted by a solid cold front pushing in from the northwest, which is going to give us erratic showers all day long. Now, the most interesting and reassuring piece of the forecast for today is that the humidity should drop a little bit, making sure that our hair remains at least a little less poofy.
All right.
Again, I have loved too many women over the years with curly hair to not be consistently interested in what the humidity is doing.
Thank you, Taya. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
See my slick back going on.
There you go. See, you knew. You came prepared.
I'm aware. Don't you worry. My humidity is on check.
Do you have a dance of the year for us, Mia?
Yes. It's actually, today is National Loving Day. So yeah, so laws against interracial marriages weren't fully eradicated in the United States until 1967. And so today we celebrate love in all forms by gathering with our friends, family, and loved ones. National Loving Day commemorates a day in history where the Supreme Court of America ruled to disband all anti-miscegenation laws in 1967, which laws that made mixed marriage race marriages illegal. So,
real quickly on that, when I moved to the U.S., I was in Huntsville, Alabama in 2001. Only around that time did they actually change the law. Their interracial marriages was still illegal up until then, I think 2000 in Alabama. So thank you for that. That's an actually important day. And I think it goes back to what Teo said about our democracy still being young and immature. We'd be surprised if we looked at Bermuda's laws to see what still exists.
Yeah.
And what only recently removed. So I think Loving Day is an opportunity for us to look within. Teo, thank you so much. I know you got to run. We'll see you.
Yeah.
All righty. Teo Dill, folks.
Take care, y'all. Thank you. Good to see you, Mia.
Bye, Teo.
Be back in 27 seconds with our guest for the day, Peter Dunne. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
It took 14 days to build your business plan. 6 months to build the courage to leave your day job. 3 weeks to find the perfect location. It took 10 days to outfit your space just right. And 1 day before your first client walked in the door. All totaled, it took you a full year to get your business operational. And this is just the beginning. To the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the people that shape our economic community, we salute you and are here for you every step of the way. BEDC, providing knowledgeable, progressive, professional, and innovative support to Bermuda businesses.
Summer is almost here. Dive into the season with dog floats and dog pools. Enjoy 20% off West Paul's dog floating toys and shop our life jackets for safety in the water this summer. Get all your summer needs before the holidays and events begin. Don't forget to stock up on poo bags and check out Dicky Bags, the poo bag holder that locks in the smell until you can dispose of it. Remember, even dogs need sunblock, so visit Noah's Ark today, Bermuda's most trusted animal supply store for all your summer essentials, and ask us about our rewards program.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Mia Shambray, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's give a warm TDH welcome to our guest for the day. We've got Peter Dunne from the Bermuda Olympic Association. Greetings, sir. How are you? Welcome.
I'm well, thanks. I usually don't get that much applause for entering. Usually it's leaving that I get the applause.
This audience was going crazy for you. Thank you so much for your patience. We had a great chat this morning. And before we even get into today's conversation, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Great.
Are there any Olympians that you say, you know what, I would put forth for them to run in Bermuda's political space?
Well, I was not prepared for that pivot. No, but these are good questions, and I mean I love the conversation earlier on because there's so many interesting aspects to it, and you know I'm gonna you should be aware that I can go off on a tangent really easily. like Mia's favorite teacher apparently was Bob Lansing.
Yes.
was guitar teacher, but he was also my oldest daughter's guitar teacher. He was an amazing guy in Bermuda that most people just knew as like Bob, who was in the basement of whatever the arcade was, where the Guitar Institute was. So it's just kind of interesting. Like, okay, that's my first pivot, but it's like, there's some really interesting folks out there, and I think that, to be honest, if you look at the athletes right now, their focus, really their sole focus in their life, and this is something that's very different about attempting to become an Olympian in the current age, because things are very different than they were in 1930s and 40s, 50s, 60s, right through almost until like 2000. That these folks really they're so single-minded. I think I'm making generalizations, but that they probably are less focused on these matters, and they don't. They probably Dej Miners is an exceptional man, and I think that he has a great perspective on a lot of matters things that happen in the community. But Dej's focus is being, I think, his focus is on being a great guy.
Right.
I've told his parents that. I think he's exceptional. I'm telling everybody, I think he's a great guy. But his focus is on being fast. And it's hard to then focus on that, the amount of physical expenditure that's required for what he does.
Yeah.
And like disconnect from that completely, and then have these very comprehensive thoughts on where society in Bermuda is going. And I think from my private conversations with Dej, he has those thoughts, but I don't think it's his nature to.
I think that's an absolutely valid point, though, because I think it goes back to the whole Michael Jordan thing. I think people put this unfair pressure on Michael Jordan, who was basically known as the greatest basketball player ever. And people put this pressure like, well, what are you doing for the Black community in particular? And why aren't you getting involved politically? And where his interests were. His interests were not there. So I think it's unfair pressure that we put on athletes in general, right?
Yeah, and I think that's really, and it could be anybody in any area. Business leaders, that may not be their area of interest or where they wish to put themselves out. I do think that there is. I wouldn't say it's an obligation, but there's an expectation or desire on the part of the community for people who have achieved prominence and have accomplished great things to be. I don't like the give back part of it, because I think that creates an obligation or the appearance of an obligation. But I think that we have an expectation that people who achieve great things in one field can do that in another, and I think that might be overstating not their ability, but also their desire. I was
using the same individual. Michael Jordan was half the player on a baseball field as he was basketball. So
yeah, biggest mistake in his life was picking up a baseball bat.
Yeah, point taken. But let's jump into today's conversation. Just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do with the Bermuda Olympic Association.
Yeah, so I'm the president of the BOA at the moment. I would say at the moment I'm serving an elected term. It runs through the end of this year. So I was elected right after the Tokyo Olympics. Normally the terms are 4 years, but because of the delay or the postponement of the Tokyo Olympics from 2020 to 21, my term then became 3 years, which is appropriate. And so I'm in that position right now. I'm also the president of the Bermuda Bicycle Association, which is the federation for cycling in Bermuda. And I've been in that position for a long time, but I think it's north of 15 years. So I've spent a lot of time working on that. I coach our junior national program for cycling, and I'm involved in a number of other small projects. Prior to this, I was in the insurance industry for a while, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to retire at a young age. And I did that, and that's where I found my role with the Cycling Association. which then, so I spend most of my time focusing on sport administration.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell us, just remind people of what the role of the Olympic Association is in Bermuda.
Yeah, I mean, we are we're a National Olympic Committee. We're also a Commonwealth Games associate, which means that we're the affiliate for the Commonwealth Games, which is a completely different organization. But we are affiliated with the IOC, and I guess the way I like to summarize it is that our job is to facilitate athletes' access to the numerous sport festivals that fall within our remit, which includes the Olympics, Pan Am Games, Central American Caribbean Games. There's now a Caribbean Games, and also their youth editions of all those, and then the Commonwealth Games. There's a Commonwealth Games and a junior or youth Commonwealth Games event. And so that's the focus of what that is. But also there's something that we're trying to expand, or what we're doing is there's this whole concept of Olympism, what it means to be Olympian, and also what role does the Olympic values play in our community. And that's an area where we actually, it moves away from being on the playing field to what does sport play in your community, and how does the community interact with that? And this is an area that I would like to see expand, but clear within our operation, and not at the expense of taking our time away from making sure that athletes can get to these various events.
Well, that sounds like an incredible initiative within the association. That sounds fabulous. And hi, Peter. Good morning. Yeah, it's so great to have you on. And just side note, Bob Lansing actually started me singing live. So I would never have sang live in front of a human being if it wasn't for Bob. So there we go.
He's a great guy. I loved going down to the studio there with my daughter.
He was absolutely fabulous. But I don't play the guitar, but that's okay.
Yeah. And he was in that really weird movie, the band that he played for a punk band that was really well known. But there's like Mutant Clowns from Mars or something. I can't remember what it is, but it's like this slasher film, but he appears in that too.
Yeah, he was very cool and interesting. And I think what's fabulous is that you're actually, spearheading that initiative within the association. And Jamel and I were talking earlier, is it 9 athletes who are some are qualified and some are not qualified, or they're, in the qualifiers to actually become part of the Olympics? And how does the association support Bermudian athletes, both like emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually? How many Olympians are kind of, up for Paris? And then how does the association support them in all those myriad of ways?
Yeah, a few questions there, but how many? First, I would always like to say it's the process for qualifying for Olympics today in 2024 is much different than it was, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago.
Okay.
It's super complicated. For the most part, the qualification process is managed or is established and then managed by what we call the International Federation for each sport. So not necessarily the games themselves. So the qualifications for swimming are different from cycling, which are different from boxing, and go through every one of those is different. But this year, I think that I am confident that we're going to have at this point that we're going to have at least 8 athletes. The variable for us right now is our archers who is in archery, and they're athletes currently in Turkey competing at the last opportunity to qualify. And there are 2 pathways that might emerge from that. One of the individuals might get a spot awarded by the International Archery Federation, which for people who, again, each sport has its own qualification process, excuse me. And then there's also the chance that that the team, which would be, I think, 3 men, a team of 3 men could qualify through this tournament. So it's, I'm certain that we're going to have 8 athletes. It's possible that we have 9, or even on the very outside chance that we would have 12, which would be a fantastic achievement for the year that we're in.
Love that.
Amazing.
Yeah. No. And it's, I mean, archery, I mean, We have not had an Olympian in archery before.
Can I just say, as it relates to archery, you all are not going to believe me, but when I was a Boy Scout and I went to Canada on our trip during the summer, I received the top award for archery. I sure did. I asked Dunne, who was my scout leader back then. I really did.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Hey, congrats for being in Scouts.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved Scouts when I was a kid. I was a big part of my early life. And secondly, you probably make your way back to St. David's, where the archery folks have their range. Show them what you really got. You know, it's not a sport that requires, with all due respect, a youngster.
Right.
Whereas, you know, there are other sports that you age out of. Because also one of our BOA staff members is in the archery world, in the office where we have a big TV on frequently. I'm watching a lot of archery, you know, like YouTube videos of tournaments from whenever. But anyway, yeah, there's quite a range of ages. Sorry, Mia, you had a second part of your question, which of course.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Jamal, there's still hope for you to be in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's just, how is the association? How do they support the athletes?
Oh, right, yeah.
Mentally, physically, maybe.
Yeah. So the one of the big thing that we are probably known for is financial support. So we manage a couple programs. One which comes from the Bermuda government, with the Elite Athlete Program, which actually it's their money, but we manage it. We've created the criteria. And we distribute a significant amount of money. And this year, the government made a significant increase. I think, you know, it went from $100,000 to $150,000 commitment to this pool of athletes, which is listed in 3 tiers. So at the top end, you have your A's, and then the B's and C's. Athletes like Flora Duffy is in the A category, and then other athletes who are coming up, like Nicholas Narroway, who's in a cyclist, is in the C category. So we have this kind of developmental pathway for that. We also manage funds. I now know the clue. When I could see all of you, it's time for me to get fast. The other side is we manage money that comes, or grants that come from the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, as well as Pan Am Sport. So financially is a big thing. Part of that is we do provide some guidelines as to where that funding could go and should be spent, and part of that is sort of sports psychology, in order to make sure that the athlete is appropriately prepared mentally as well as physically. Yeah, that's the main focus in terms of the things outside. We're not involved in the athlete's spiritual health. That's a personal matter. It was on your list, so I got to touch it. But
that's okay.
That's somebody else's. But yeah, I think that you know, we have a good program for that. But it's important for the public to know that we're not the ones providing their coaches. We don't give them direction on field of play. These athletes usually have a fairly robust support team that includes coaches and physiotherapists and others. Our job is to facilitate the athletes getting to that. So the thing that they need, if they're hiring a coach, they need funding to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought up Flora Duffy, or Dame Flora Duffy, I should say now. When she won the Olympics, I just remember the whole island just going crazy. Everyone was crying. Everyone was just so moved and so proud to be Bermudian. And it was just such a huge success. It really put Bermuda, on the map in a meaningful Olympic way. How is the association building on her success? What do you believe that meant for the island when she won Olympic gold?
Yeah, I mean, it's a amazing transformational moment, I think, for the realization of what potential, what the potential of an individual is. And I mean, Flora is Bermudian. She's part of our fabric, but she's also an individual. Mm-hmm. So my message to younger athletes that I work with is, you look at it. It wasn't the fact that she's Bermudian that made her a champion. It's her work ethic, the method, the way in which she's approached her sport. And that's a great lesson to have in your community. And I think, well, first you can see in youth triathlon, the numbers of kids who now want to be like Flora or want to be Flora is crazy. I mean, it's like they're having an amazing surge of interest, which I think is going to be there for quite some time. And I think in general, we have the island sees that, even, a small place like Bermuda, you can have amazing success. And if I can, I was 2 weeks ago, I was in Brazil at a cycling race, Continental Championships, and our guys, we had 3 guys and 1 woman there. And it's amazing experience to come from, basically we're the smallest country in all the Americas that were there, other than Anguilla, which is like 15,000 people, I think. And when you have countries like Mexico or the US, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, like major cycling countries, which, sorry, this is my area. You can tell that's a cyclist back there. But when you have these huge countries like coming up to you and congratulating you on your athletes' performances, and you realize that like the city that we were in Brazil, the city is 10 times bigger than Bermuda's total population, and it's only the 11th biggest city not on the coast of Brazil. Like, it's just,
it's quite mind-blowing.
So the way these regional, these successes elevate the country, I think is fantastic. And I think that's what, we want to build on that. And I say that's kind of my emphasis in the last couple of years is to, we want to roll out, we want to see the Olympic movement, the Olympic values, and our Olympians as in a more visible manner in Bermuda. So
we've got to run soon, but I don't want to ignore the audience. We've got some question from the audience. If you want to answer, Mark Arthur C. Phillips is asking, how much funding does the BOA get from the government? And then he's also asking, does the BOA get funding from private corporate donors?
Yeah. Part of that is disclosed in the budget statement. So we have funding that we get, that our organization gets for athletes, which I explained earlier, I think it's $150,000. We also get an administrative grant from them to help us manage our office, and that's I think this year is $125,000, I think. And then the second part, corporate funding, yes, it was something that we've just started this. I know in the past, and I don't want to speak to what people did previously because I wasn't around, but we have corporate sponsors for the Olympic or team movement costs associated with going to the games. If you've seen a Butterfield and Vallis truck, delivery truck, our logo is in the back of that now, which is very exciting. They will be on the wingtips of Bermuda airplanes momentarily. And we're just starting a program for retailers, really just to get the logo out there, like a little door sticker that we're trying to do, which really is not a fundraiser. It's more for it's fundraising or public awareness. And then we have a very limited number. Got to be quick on your connections, but we're producing a fan shirt, which we basically started to do because Butterfield and Vallis and our other sponsors wanted to have a fan shirt for their staff, and that grew from 200 to 300, where we have 900 of them coming in. Of only about 150 or so we'll sell to the public at a very barely above our cost. But it's more that I'm more excited to see on a single day in Bermuda there are 900 people wearing the same shirt and happy to be looking like somebody else. And this is the sort of thing that we need to build. We need to be building that general, not just for the Olympics, but for the athletes. The athletes are, go back to Dej or somewhere like Janai. These guys are training 364 and a half days a year, plying their trade to try to get to something which the public only looks at one day every 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have to run, but it's been informative. I've just let people know where they can go to keep up to date with what's going on with the Olympics.
Yeah, we are on all the social media platforms. I'll probably get the names slightly wrong, and we've been chastised for having a kind of nebulous name. It's like NOC Bermuda, but there's so much technical jargon in this space. But yeah, the Bermuda Olympic Association, we're on Facebook, Instagram, X, you name it, we're out. I think there's someone starting a TikTok page. And then before the game, or leading up to and into the games, Maya Palacio, your colleague, is going to be our media liaison and attaché during the games. So she'll be in Paris with the group. So we'll get her creative output as well as the reach. And it's going to be a super exciting time. I hope that people plug into it. This like the first week is super intense. We've got 3 triathletes. You're going. I'm going to keep going.
Thank you so much, Peter. We appreciate you. And we're definitely talking if there's anything we can do on this platform to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely. We would like to, it's a great platform, reaches a lot of people, and it's always with a smile. So,
all right, have a great one. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Okay.
All right, Peter Dunne. If you appreciated the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break, 55 seconds. We'll be back to wrap it up if you stick with us.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome back. Thanks again to Peter Dunne for the conversation this morning. Appreciate it. If you appreciated today's discussion and conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can do this with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Mia, are you ready? It's music.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Very easy question. Which musician sings Ice Ice Baby? Who?
Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice it is. She beat you folks. All right, let's wrap it up. Mia, what are your final thoughts on this morning's discussion and obviously the conversation with Peter Dunne?
Stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with a brand new edition. I'm just kidding.
Love it.
But that's actually a really good point for, stop, collaborate, and listen. I think that's actually a really, in regards to what we were talking about, in regards to, getting more quality politicians, up in the sphere. And then Peter Dunne, gosh, we could have talked forever with him. What a wealth of knowledge and a really exciting Olympics for Bermuda. Sounds like we've got so many incredible Olympians up on the forefront, and Paris is going to be phenomenal. And I'm so excited that Maya's going to be there, and I'm going to be there. Jamel, you got to go. You got to come. You got to come.
I won't be there, but no, I appreciate the discussion this morning, and thank you for driving the topic. But I think this morning's topic, actually, I think Peter Dunne summed it up. We can come up with all the great people we want, but they have to have a desire to want to be there. And I think I'm thankful for his input on that. They have to have the desire to want to be there. So we also have to stop thinking because people are great at one thing, they'll be great at another. So again, he came to discuss a totally different thing, but I think he summed it up best for us. You're right. As far as the Olympic Association and the athletes, look, we're in a great space. I hope people support. Even just reach out, find out how you can support the Bermuda Olympic Association as well. All right, Mia, you've got some daily inspiration for us?
I do. Quote of the day is a Chinese proverb. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
I love that.
Me too.
One step, folks. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Mia Chambray. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.